Hello, YouTube. This is Mickey D bringing you episode 51 of Stationeers. Um, so, um, quite a bit of things going on. And I want to check in here and make sure. I thought I was seeing a gas leak. See, I'm getting some particles here. That's kind of weird. But, so the main thing today is the devs released a patch and fixed the radiators. So they are now working again. Um, our greenhouse got some stuff planted. I actually had to expand the wall coolers. We did not have enough. Hey, MacGyver. Um, yeah, don't look too hard at the old ones. um, oh, speaking of the old ones, one of the things I fixed real quick, and if I think about it, I might put a note in the other episode, is this should have been an oxygen filter, not a CO2 filter. Um, and I also had it tied into the oxygen nitrogen line with these, and really it should have been just the oxygen. So I straightened that off camera, and now it works fine. Oh, and it needs a back pressure regulator right here as well. So I had to add that in. They're both set to, I set them both to 100, because the filter was pulling through faster than the pressure regulator could supply the pressure, so it would never reach the set pressure. So I just put it in between, and then that way this one keeps it from contaminating the O2 system with any of the CO2 that's produced in the sleeper, and then this one basically lets the filter not drain it, but it will pass anything out. And that pipe, sometimes on these, when stuff goes through, it looks like that pipe is ruptured, but no, it's fine. So radiators are fixed, and as you can see, we are negative 47.3, and I may have to expand that radiator system a little bit, because as you can kind of see, it's not. Let's see if I can get it so I can see it without it. It's kind of being blocked by the GUI, but 47.5, negative 47. Oh, okay, it dropped. It cycles. I ended up putting 4 wall coolers in there. We had 1, and 1 was not enough. I added 2. 2 was not enough, so then I added 4. Because I got tired of messing with it. 4 seems to be working fine, but since we don't really have a buffer range, I mean, we do between the heating kicking on and the cooling kicking on, but you know, it's basically the wall coolers are kicking on, running for a second, kicking off, and we're not over there, so I don't really care. Maybe later on we'll adjust that, add a buffer range into the circuit. So it kind of bounces around a little bit. See, it just warmed. Now it's warming again more. So I'll have to keep an eye on it. So we might need to add some more to the system, which I expanded it quite a bit. But the greenhouse was generating a lot of heat. So I've seen it go as high as 38.4, I think. But it's aiming for 37.8. But that still keeps it down within a tolerable range. So we should be producing O2, and we do have some weird thing going on here with the O2 though that I've got to keep an eye on. We seem to be losing oxygen, and I don't know why. We were up around 40 MPa. I hooked in the sleeper, so there's 20 or so pipes that we filled, and that did drop into about 30, but I don't know why we've lost another 5 MPa now. I haven't filled up my suit tank. Oh, well, okay, we did fill a suit tank. It may be because of that, so we'll have to keep an eye on it and see if it drops any lower. And then if anything, we should now be producing oxygen from the greenhouse, so that should climb. And because the plants are producing oxygen, but there is a bug. At least I believe it's a bug. I put in a report on it yesterday. Haven't heard anything back. So this is the O2 line in the front for the station, the suit station. This is the propellant in the back, and you do have to use pressure regulators. There's one for the propellant on this side, one for the O2 on this side, because the system's not smart enough. It will overfill the tanks in the suit and make it explode, as we saw in the last episode. Now, this is blinking because the waistline's not hooked up, but it does work. You can use as little as much connections on the suit station as you want, or have no connections at all and just have it be a rack to store the suit. But if you have the waistline hooked up, it will pull everything from all the tanks. So it's not pulling just from the waste tank. So I disconnected it because it was basically pulling all the O2 in through. And yeah, so I had to address that. So I'm leaving it just disconnected for now. The waste doesn't generate. It's so fast that we can't dump it out as needed, which we can do actually right now, because we do have some in there, and I want to send it to the greenhouse. And since we're right here, I might as well just change the battery. And let's see. There we go. And I guess we should fill up our O2 tank as well. And let's see, there's nothing going on here. And this line is, which is a massive radiator line on the back side, is staying nice and cold. So this one should be fine. It's a little bit of fluctuation, but we'll keep an eye on it. And I am considering on making just one giant radiator system, like somewhere in the back, or, well, actually the back would be not bad, because we don't have to cover the back and the top, and then just tying everything in that needs a radiator into it. I'd kind of thought around, of doing that before, and also off camera, I did charge all of the radiator units, though we still got to put radiators on the back of this wall over here. And as you can see, my food is 100 now. I did go into edit the world type and load into Mars so that I could turn that off, or bring in some cereal bars, because I got really tired of it flashing. But now that we're getting food again, or we should be able to produce some food, then pretty soon I'll probably turn the hunger back on. Not going to do it quite yet, though. Probably maybe for the next episode. So I wanted to do in this episode some work on logic. And we still got to keep an eye on the oxygen. I was thinking maybe the gas generator was stealing it, because it is running. We're drawing a ton of power now, more than the solar panels on the roof are keeping up with. I guess they don't really stick everything in the beta patch notes, but I guess people have noticed that they've rebalanced some of this power stuff. The suit's drawing more power, a few things like that. So I think it's a matter of all the rebalances we're using a lot more power now, because 4 or 5 episodes ago, which was basically 2 days ago or so, I noticed that our power use was really, we were dropping down a lot lower than we were before, and it seems like that is the reason. So we'll tweak it as we need to. But this isn't affecting our O2 use right now because we pre-pressurized the line. I shut it off because it has to do the fuel mix, and that's one of the things we're going to do the logic chips on. We're going to get the computers out in this episode and get rid of those, since they're not going to fix them anytime soon, it seems like. And we should have plenty of stuff in the machinery, probably sometime soon here. I'm going to have to do a mining run off camera, since we're getting pretty low. We run through a lot of cable and a lot of pipe, so and we actually end up, because of radiators and stuff, using a bit of gold. So we are going to, and I think think all we have for circuitry right now is a memory chip. So we're going to go ahead and make up just like 4 or 5 of each. And we will get the, I'm going to swap these out. So we need to get this back. It used to be controlled by the computer. So I really want to get this automated again with the logic chips, and we'll probably just stick it on the wall over here, or maybe in the floor, and get this running, because the gas generator is pulling off of this line as well. So we definitely need that one running, and we can shut that off now. So now that we've got all the machinery in, we should, barring any new machinery added, we should hopefully be pretty much just focusing on automation, expanding systems, tweaking systems, that sort of thing. And then as they add new stuff on, we'll go to that. One area after I think we get, we're going to go through and basically do a round of logic chip upgrades, or automation for some of the systems, and then I think after that we're going to expand the tank room, and kind of revamp that a little bit, since that is actually still the initial setup in there. Nothing's changed really since, except for tying more stuff into it, since I initially placed it. So that I'm thinking about just going ahead and switching to the larger tanks, especially for like the oxygen. Some of the other gases we probably don't really need the large tanks, but we have them. We might as well we'll make them. I think I'm going to keep the smaller tanks for like the waste pipe, where it's basically just a temporary kind of expansion chamber, so we don't overload the system. And I don't think we need the switches. Okay, so we probably we might need a few more, but we'll get this going over here. So we should have everything pretty much set up that we need. Really, all we're going to do is replicate what this was doing, which, I kind of wish they still had the computers going, because for something really simple like this, I much prefer the computer, because it's simply just switching between 2 states. So logic chip's going to be a little bit more of a setup, and autosave. And I think that was the only fix, was the radiators. Just to kind of randomly jump back to that, I don't think there was anything else that I saw that was done today. So I'm just glad that those are finally taken care of. So we're going to need a reader to read the analyzer, and we're going to need a writer to turn this on and off. And we're going to need a compare. Yeah, I believe so. So we'll need we not the math. Oh, we are going to need a compare unit. We don't want to put it there because we got that pipe. We can't do a turn between there. Oh, the footlocker though? Yeah, but I'd have to drag it around, which would probably be a pain in the butt. The only thing I don't like about the lockers is I feel like I'm in like a really cheesy VR game, because any of this stuff. Oh, and yeah, I went out through the wall when I was working on the radiator, and now we're kind of sealed out of the airlock, so we're going to have to pop open the door. Yeah, I was going to, there was some tanks in there. This makes me feel like I'm in a VR game, because I'm moving stuff around like this, yeah, I kind of wish it would just pick it up and stick it in my inventory. Pretty much everything else in the game, you pick it up, I mean, I pick up a Foot Locker. I guess it's so is a symbol. Well, technically, I guess everything's like an IKEA. You get a generator, you get a nice little package right here. You know, um, you get a furnace, it's a nice little package. I don't know why some of the crates and the tanks, they got to kind of do them differently than everything else. But it is what it is. Okay, so we're going to do a reader, and we're going to need a writer. And I think that's all we're going to need. This should be relatively simple setup. Of course, we've got to wire them all up too. And we will get these going. So it seems like they're doing quite a bit of stuff on atmospherics. So I'm hoping we'll have Mars soon. And if we do get Mars, then I have a feeling that what I'll probably do is, once we know that Mars is stable, I'll probably change the world type over to Mars, because that's kind of really what I wanted anyway. And then, we can have some atmospherics as well. And because, the moon's just kind of gray. Everything's gray. Maybe the moon will be more interesting when there's solar radiation and stuff, but I think Mars would be quite a bit more interesting. Okay, so just a junction and just a that's going to be interesting. How we're going to have to put something, because we can't do a 3-way. We can't do a 4-way. We're going to have to do 6 ways. Yeah, because they don't have like 5 ways. Or 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. We'll just build some 6 ways. All right. So we'll get those tied in. Let's get our screwdriver here. And we are going to read the pressure analyzer. Now, luckily, all the rooms are pretty much, with a few exceptions, on their own power grid. So that gives us, we don't have a ton of stuff, we don't have a whole entire base full of stuff to scroll through when we're doing this. Pipe analyzer display, and I probably should analyze that or change that, because I think we might actually have a couple of them on here. The other one actually might be on its own. And unfortunately, I think this is tied into... Oh, I just passed it. This is tied into the filtration room, because really this doesn't draw any power. It's only the little oddball stuff. So I couldn't see setting this one up on its own grid. And we want pipe analyzer, and then we can double check and see what the pressure is on this. And I'm trying not to skip it again. Okay, we want pressure 5725, 572. Okay, yep, a little bit of a rounding, but that's it. All right, and we want to, what are we comparing this to? We're going to need a memory chip, aren't we? Yeah, we want it, if it's less than, we're going to have to set an amount, so we're going to need a memory chip. That'll be easy enough to add in there. And yeah, we can just change that to a 4-way. That will work easy enough. And I am hoping they do add some type of workbench. Maybe make your circuit boards on the workbench, and then, place the whole thing down and just do a line in, a data line to it, maybe a line in, a line out, something. Basically, it would just be this big in game. Kind of what's the Minecraft mod there? trying to think of it. It led you basically like the compact. Is it compact machines? I think that might be it. So we want to set this to. We could pressurize it all the way to 60. Oh, I do want to change that ratio, I think, because we're not getting a clean burn. Yeah, this is where it'd be nice to have the computer to write to it. We're going to set it. We don't need it insanely high. I do want to set it higher than what we've got to set it to now so we can test it. So we'll set it to like 6. Let's set it to 7. That'll let it run for a little bit. We don't run the risk of missing it. So logic reader. And before we get way far into this, let's go grab the labeler, which is probably going to have a dead battery because every time I pick this thing up, the battery goes dead in it. Okay, so this is going to be fuel pressure. Fuel pressure limit. And we're going to have this be the fuel pressure compare. Just because we are going to need another logic circuit over there at some point. I want to get that. I believe I did not put that AC on the base system for the heating and the cooling for when the base is pressurized, because I know, we know the furnace room is going to get a lot hotter. So I want to be able to close the door when we run the furnace, have the AC run, and then because I don't want it to try to like cool the whole entire base because the one room's hot. Or actually where the temperature sensor is, by the time the heat got out there, this room would be insanely hot. So, we don't want to do that. And this is going to be fuel pressure writer. Writer. All right. So toss that over there for now. And okay, so we want to compare to the fuel pressure limit. Fuel pressure limit. And oh, we missed a line. Shoot. All right. Let us change this to be, which luckily the memory and stuff stays set. So, oh no, it did erase it. Oh, well, that's one of the benefits of the computers, because they actually keep the logic chips boards keep their settings. Oh, see, it's been a while since we've done the logic chips. Oh, and I just stuck the wrong corner down there, of course. All right. And I'm going to we're going to pull, we need the mixer valve. Shoot, that wall's there. I like to isolate the circuit because then it makes it, we're not pulling a ton of stuff. Still not that bad because the rooms are isolated, but I'm still pulling more than I would like. Okay, so we're going to set this one again. This is going to be fuel pressure limit. And of course now we've got to reset that. And we're going to do this one, and then I'll do the other. I think there's two more of these. One for the fuel mixture refill station. and then one for the oxygen nitrogen mix in the base, which they're basically they're going to be identical systems. It's just what we're setting the pressure to. Okay, so fuel pressure in, out to. Oh, we want to do is less than the pipe analyzer, which, if I remember correctly, that took us a while to get to. And try not to pass it. I was thinking I passed it there for a second. I really wish they just put the stuff in alphabetical order. It would make it so much easier. Maybe that'll be something that's down the line. Why do I feel like I'm just cycling through the same stuff over and over again? I mean, we should see it. It's right there. We're definitely tied in. Pipe, come on. Well, we shouldn't be hitting up the other batch writer over and over again, unless we're hitting up the, oh, we might be hitting up the one on the, for the ACs and the filtration system. Oh yeah, waste pressure reader. Yeah, we're hitting up the other system. Come on. Is it not? We should have definitely hit it by now. Pipe analyzer. Come on, pipe analyzer. Is it me or is it just not seeing it? Or am I just completely missing it? Pipe analyzer, come on. No, because we're going back around to the waste stuff. Why is it not showing up? Oh, wait a minute. Oh, duh. We've got to pull off of the reader. All right, yes, we need to pull fuel pressure. That's why we have a reader. Ah, right there. Okay. Duh. And why are you not? Logic in, pipe analyzer, we're reading pressure. Input 1, pressure compare. Oh, input 1, yeah, we pulled up the memory, that's why. So we need fuel pressure limit. Fuel pressure limit, very nice. And we got an autosave. That's good. I probably went around like 20 times on that looking for the pipe analyzer. And I think I've done that before too. I have that habit of forgetting that we're pulling off of the reader and not off of there. Okay, so this one we're going to pull off of the fuel pressure compare. Oh, right there. Very nice. And we're going to output to the gas mixer, which should be that one. And then we're going to turn it on. Okay, so if it's not, oh, let's try turning it on now. Okay, it did not kick on. It means it's not that one. Because there's, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, gas mixer. Let's label it, because there is a, no, we shouldn't be hitting up another, no, we shouldn't be hitting up another gas mixer. So we're going to call this fuel mixer. I don't think we've got another one that we would read from here. No, yeah, we were reading it. So fuel pressure compare, which we should be, oh, is, fuel pressure limit. We might be reading off of the wrong one. No, fuel pressure. Let's label that and double check, because it's telling us that we're fuel pressure is less than fuel pressure limit is less than fuel pressure. Fuel pressure limit. Pipe analyzer. Pressure. So limit is less. Oh. I don't know if these. Let's change this. I think we need to reverse these. So, because our fuel pressure limit is our high end. Oh, and I just passed it. Oh, okay. It's not that many. Fuel pressure limit. And then we want our fuel pressure. Okay. So if we kick this on, there we go. All right. Yes, the order does matter because obviously we're doing math, basically. Or we're comparing the two. So as soon as we hit 7, kicks off. Very nice. And slowly, since we've changed the ratios, it will slowly adjust over. And, oh, well, I'm thinking about it. Supposedly somebody was saying you only need to put about 100 kPa in there. So we're going to check that. All right, so now that's all automated. We don't have to worry about that. If the gas generator runs, it will automatically kick in as it needs to, or if we run the furnace, it'll basically all, it's automated back to how it was before. But it's so much easier to just do the computer and just do greater than and less than, either on or off. But that's what we're doing. So now we can rip this out, which will be nice because maybe we'll find something else to put it here at some point. And we'll clean up this wiring. Which this leads to the machine that we basically never ever use outside, which is for our gas input. Though I might have to go grab some more. I think we're all set on volatile. Now that corner looks really empty. Anyway, so we'll it's basically the same setup for the other two, and then for here we're just gonna test for cooling, and we're gonna leave, I think, the heat on with the base, and then the cooling will just be separate with its own system, because we're never, we don't have to worry about this room being too cold. And I guess logic boards we're just going to end up recycling at some point, because we're not really going to have a use for them anymore. And probably the computers as well, since it seems like. So I will do. Oh, and for some reason all of our plants have died. Oh, great. Well, it doesn't look like we've gone over on temperature. Oh, all right. So sometime between episodes, I will sit here and idle in front of this. I was idling a while watching it, and it was maintaining fine. So I wonder if the radiator system got kind of... Yeah, and we've lost 0.2 oxygen. So I don't know where we're losing oxygen from. Oh, actually, okay. Never mind. We just topped off the fuel, so that's where the oxygen went. So it's holding steady. I guess maybe we've just expanded the system so much that it is dropping down. Yeah, I'm wondering what is our temperature reading in here? Negative 44. Well, we should still be getting cooling off of it. I mean, I'd like it to be lower, so I'll definitely be expanding the system. So yeah, I'm basically going to duplicate here and do the same thing. And I might actually just tie those together, because this is the oxygen nitrogen mix system for the base, for when we pressurize it again, or it is pressurized. and we can just set it. These are just set to right, yeah, basically the max on the tank. And since these are going to vent out, um, that should be fine. Because what we're going to do is we'll make another logic chip system, which we haven't made yet. It's when we'll become coming soon. We've got to do our pressure on off limits with we'll do a switch override. So we'll set it to basically similar to what we just did, but it will. Oh, I'm getting all tongue-tied tonight. It will pressurize to like 100. Well, they say 101 is best because otherwise the airlocks get weird. Because it always tries to reach that little bit. So we'll set it to do that and pressurize, and then it'll shut the vents off so that it can let, if this is pre-pressurized, that'll be fine. We're definitely not going over the limit there. So I think we'll just stick it here and we'll just tie it into both. And that will be, both of them can just control it. We don't really have a reason to pressurize that more, since once the base is pressurized, it closes the vents, it'll pre-pressurize the line, we'll be fine. And I think that's the only spot else we have. I'm checking these. Yeah, I still got to top off some of these radiators. Since I have them all set to 1.5 MPa. It seems like the denser the gas is in the line, the better the better heat transfer you get. I don't know if there's an upper limit to where that's good at, but so what do we want to jump on to next? We got a little bit more time. That one's done. I don't want to keep doing the same circuit over and over again. So maybe we'll work on the base pressurization. I'm not really sure how to tie the switches in yet because I haven't used those. And I believe the switch just puts either a 0 or 1 out. So we have to set it in basically kind of like an override where if it reads 0, it's going to choose it. Oh, so we could use a selector. So that would work. The question is now is where are we going to want to put this? Really, we could probably stick it down below in the battery room. And I'm thinking, which I think we're going to need to expand the solar power system again because it's not really, the generator is definitely running every night, basically. But luckily the thing puts out quite a bit of power, so it's not like we're burning through a ton of oxygen or gas. So this line, no, it does not tie into the vents. Vents, I might have to rewire before that. I can't remember if I've already moved those on to their own circuit or not, or if I made the mistake of wiring them into the rooms. I guess the way to check would be to turn that transformer off, which is tied into this room, which is fine. And then we'll go up and see if any of the other ones turn on or not. And yeah, because that one ties in upstairs. I think I put those on a separate system when I was breaking everything out. No, obviously not, because that one ties in there. All right, so that's going to be quite the project then. Massive amounts of, which we don't have we don't have one in here. So it looks like yeah, I didn't break them out, unfortunately. I think I realized that afterwards when I was going through and doing them all that I should have separated them out. But since we've had the base depressurized for so long, I kind of forgot about it. All right, so we'll skip over that then for now because we're not going to have enough time. We've only got about another 20 minutes for this episode since I do have work tomorrow. And that's going to take us a while to rewire all of that. And I might do that off camera, just since, it's basically just, it's going to look the same when it's done, pretty much. I'll just have to separate it out. And so what else to system do we got to do? I'd like to work on, we can do a ratio. We can read a ratio off of the, that might be something we can work on. We'll go in the greenhouse. I want to get a ratio, which hopefully we should have enough stuff. Let me go check before we cycle through there. Let's grab some more wiring just in case. So yeah, I want to get a, I want to pull the ratio of oxygen and the kPa, the pressure in the room. And because right now the filter in here runs 24/7. So that is kind of a power draw. Let me grab that since we have it. And we do have a processor, so we'll grab that. Hopefully we might need some more chips, but we'll see how far we can get on this. Yeah, I do want to, and then maybe if anybody notices, keep an eye on the temperature. I'd like to see, now the greenhouse, I do notice gets a lot hotter when the plants are in here. There's a significant increase in the temperature, or the amount of heat that's output. Okay, so we'll take ferns. I'm going to go ahead and just plant them all. We'll see what the temperature gets up to. I'm wondering if it's one of those things that the radiator's slowly getting overloaded and then it's not working as efficiently. Maybe something like that, where it's taking a couple of days of cycling. Like I said, I noticed there was a little bit of an increase, but it was still staying down in the negatives. So, which we've got a pretty big system on there so far, but it looks like we're going to have to expand it out farther, which is, easy enough to do, but I think we probably will need to go do a mining run first. I'm pretty sure we'll use up most, if not all of the gold to make radiators. I think we're down to about 100 gold. Oops. Oh, I didn't pull it back up. All right. So yeah, we'll see how that does. And as you can see, we had the one AC in there, which was not enough. So I expanded it and autosave. So I expanded it, and it seems to be cooling fine. Like I said, I think the limit is the radiator. I would imagine that many wall units would be enough. And I'll tell you, oh, that's why, because they're airing it. They seem really touchy when you have multiple ones connected to the same line. So that's what happened, is they air it out, and so basically only one. And I had them all running because it was a bit of a pain. You hook one up and you hook the other one up, and then you hook a third one up, and then one of them starts working, and you got to pull it off the wall and put it back, and then it'll start working. I thought it was a pressure issue, but I'm not sure. Yeah, so see, we've only got, the first one only ran for like not even a full cycle. So I'll have to look into that and see. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. Maybe we'd have to have the line, I mean, we're over 1.5, right? We're at like 1.5 MPa in the line. So we should have more than enough pressure in there for that. Oh, you know why? Look at our external pressure. We're at 6. That's why the pressure's too low, because they've got to have over 8 kPa in the greenhouse for it to run. Um, the question is why, where did all the CO2 go? Oh, maybe we turned it all into oxygen. They burn through it that fast? No, no, it can't have. There's got to be, oh, let's go look. Then again, we haven't had the greenhouse able to run in so long because the radiator has been broken. Hopefully we didn't screw something, or I didn't screw something up in the system, which it shouldn't have because it's all separate. So haven't messed with it. But I'm wondering if there's well, it is running through the filter and AC system, so maybe it's getting stuck. That or we've just... Okay, maybe we've used it all. The plants can't burn through it that fast. There'd be no way to keep a greenhouse going. Uh, 54% carbon dioxide, which we're only at 5 kPa. So we don't have that much in there, it doesn't look like. Not if we're only at 5 kPa. Um, Well, let's kick in the bypass. And we will kick in... Actually, easier way to do it would be to there. Which I do want to work on this system as well. This needs we want to go the other way. No, that'll force it to drain out the system. I can't believe that unless we've just got so much storage capacity that's reading so low. Unfortunately, that's going to make them pretty much run all the time now. Yeah, I think there's something, I don't know, maybe we have used it all. Unless there's some bug in it's leaking in the greenhouse. Because we don't have the rest of the base pressurized. I'm hoping we're not losing atmosphere for some reason now. Okay, well that's going to make this a little hard to test now if we can't. Oh, and we do got to add the... Yes. When I run this one pumps into the base. This one pumps into... It basically ties into this... I moved it. This vent. So it just pumps in, comes out this passive vent. And this passive vent lets it flow either way. This is tied into the filtration that's behind this wall. And the filtration, which we're going to have to double check and make sure that it's not something going on there. And make sure it's not getting stuck. So this filtration basically only filters out. It's filtering CO2 and outputting it back into... let's open this up a little bit more. Okay, there we go. And get that stuff out of the way. All right, so that line runs down and ties into the input on the filtration unit. It's set to filter CO2, so it outputs the CO2, which is, this is the line coming from the CO2 system. Hey, unexpected. And then this ties into this vent here. So basically it lets it either store it into the system, or like if we want to drain the greenhouse, we just shut that vent off. It'll the filter will pull through the passive and output the CO2 back into the system. And then our waistline will capture any like O2 we generate or any pollution we introduce into the greenhouse and dump it into the filtration system. So my question is, let's grab the reader here. Where did, so, and why do we have, so we're good there. Now we could see, because that's the waistline, so that does, where does this tie in at? I'm trying to think of if this is going to have, if this is not before the volume pumps. The volume pump should be pulling well, it's 9 PA, so there's not really any pressure in there. But they should be, I mean, I would expect that this should be empty. I mean, yeah, 9 PA is not a lot, but, well, you know why? Well, no, because it's not going to come through there. It's going to come through here. So as you can see, it's pulling in, it's pulling out everything from the greenhouse and putting it into the system. Just for some reason, I'm guessing the plants they used it all up. That's the only thing I can think of. I mean, we were up at like 30 kPa, but, and yeah, we had all these planted, but I wouldn't think that that would burn through all the CO2 that quick. If so, they definitely need to rebalance the CO2, because that's, you know, we'll never be able to keep a greenhouse running. Huh. All right. So we're good there. I just, yeah, and then let's see here. If we come through, and this will pull back out, and so it's going to dump in there, and either basically it'll get pulled in through to the filtration system, or it's dumping it into the greenhouse. And then the thought being is that if the base is pressurized, we kick this on, and there's a passive vent on the wall. It'll equalize with the base, or close enough that when we open the door, we don't get bashed. It's also a good way to emergency cool the greenhouse. If for some reason we notice it's getting too hot, you open this up, close this, leave it pressurized with O2 or the base air, kick it in, it'll flood it with O2. That's, you know, going to be at whatever the base temperature is, normally around 20 degrees Celsius. So it'll give it some cooling. I've had to do that before. We expanded it. All right, so let's check. Which I imagine this is going to be, yeah, see where we've run everything through the system. And we could not bypass that now because we have, I just want to make sure we don't have like a busted line somewhere now or something that's, no, we're still, it's about the same. Just want to make sure there was not, you know, something wasn't returning. No, 100%. I'm not seeing any. Oh, that's the base. Okay. And yeah, I'm still waiting to be able to see these. You know. When, you know, I'm not having to do something like this. O2 or H2. Which makes it kind of hard to, yep, water, hydrogen, oxygen. Then we should have nitrogen, CO2, which is 109. nitrogen, and then our pollution. Yeah, so we have no contamination. I'm not seeing anything, and that's just, it's kind of weird that it has not pulled that through. I mean, it's not a lot. It's only 3 PA, but that volume pump should be, I think it's maybe just because the amount of piping there is, it's just taking it. It's just taking it quite a while to run through, you know, and really I haven't found anything faster to use than the volume pump. So yeah. And what do we have actually? Let's check here real quick, because I've been running around looking, but yeah, see, we're at 31 PA. I mean, yeah, we've mixed some oxygen because, you know, the readout in there only shows, you know, your external readout's not showing below 1 kPa. So, I mean, we could turn this on and it'll finish draining this out. But really, I'm guessing either there's a leak in the windows in the greenhouse or the plants have just consumed it all so fast. I mean, it is coming back up, but we were, you know, we were a lot higher than that. But it looks like the system's, and obviously our generator's kicking. There's our gas generator kicking in because it's set at 40%. So it's maintaining the 40% at night. All right. So yeah, I guess we're going to have to do some looking on that and seeing. Luckily, we've got to smelt a whole bunch of stuff, so that's going to give us some CO2. And I may just set, I mean, it's kind of a junky way to do it, but I may set the gas generator to keep the ratio higher, just because it'll run more, and then that will give us CO2 as well. Low power limit, and so if we tell it to keep it at like 80%, which means that obviously we're going to be using a lot more oxygen and hydrogen, but we can go at least mine that. And this should be giving us, which one was the exhaust pipe? Yeah, here we go. So that's going to give us, you know, CO2 to come back. Oh, autosave. Well, it's not really how I figured that episode going, but the joys of early access, and you never know what we're going to run across. And I must have sat there and watched the greenhouse for like an hour earlier, and I never noticed any pressure dropping. Oh, you know what? One thing we can check, which I don't think it's done it because the pressure should be more than high enough, is if the wall units pulled all the CO2 into the radiator system. But like I said, I've had it up at, yeah, or they should just have mineable CO2. I mean, you should just be able to, you know, I mean, on Mars, it is. CO2 does exist in, if I'm remembering correctly, solid form, because it gets cold enough, it condenses out of the atmosphere. But on the moon, I don't know if you'd have solid deposits. And of course, here we go. We can't read it. Oh, that's because I'm burning my jetpack, so it's yeah, we have 1 mole in there, so it's basically nothing. All right. So yeah, and it shouldn't pull in from there unless we're under 100 kPa anyway. So we should be, we're at 1.32. It's dropped a little bit because the temperature's dropped, um, which is why I spent like part of the day just repeatedly topping those off. Um, yeah, I'm guessing the plants ate it for lack of a better term. Obviously, it needs to be rebalanced. Wow, yeah, we're not gonna have food anytime soon if it's doing that. I mean, I guess we can still go ahead and get the system set up. Unfortunately, we're not gonna be able to do it this episode now because we've now hit the hour mark, uh, and so I guess probably the next episode we'll pick up where we left off here, which is going to be ripping this open. And I can't see because I don't have my light on. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I already had it in my inventory. Okay. And basically, we're going to expand this system so that we're going to add in a pressure cutoff like we have for the main base to this, so that, like right now, that heater's trying to run, which is just wasting power because there's no atmosphere in here. Um, the coolers we don't really have to worry about because they won't run because the pressure is too low. So, but it's easy enough because we can just do a selector and we just override. We can override what those are reading for the temperature, and then it'll basically force them to stay off, which works really well. But I do want to set up in here, pull off the ratio, and then set that filter to only run if we're below, if we're over. I don't know how in depth we want to get with that because I don't want to make a giant circuit that we're gonna have to try to interconnect together. But I definitely want it to run if I don't want it to run unless the oxygen content gets too high, um, and or the pressure in the room gets too high. So we'll let it get up to 100 kPa, or if the ratio gets too high on the oxygen, then the filter kicks in. So it's going to be kind of interesting because we're going to have, like, I guess we'll do a selector switch is one of the ways to do it. So we'll give it the two conditions to run, and then otherwise it'll leave the filter off, and that should save us quite a bit of power so it's not running all the time. And then it'll let this also, be up to because we don't have to leave it 100% CO2. I mean, we can have an oxygen mix in here as well, if we can keep enough CO2. But who knows? Maybe this is the developer's way of making everybody play multiplayer because you need to generate more CO2. Oh. Okay, sorry about that. I laughed and it made me cough. So yeah, we'll expand this in the next episode. And hopefully, I'll probably put a report in on that because that's insane that it basically burned through all the CO2. So either there's something with the plants, or, like I said, or the windows are leaking or something. But who knows? They're messing with atmospherics. So I guess worst comes to worst, I could edit and we could. It gets kind of touchy with the tanks because you've got to, I guess, calculate the energy in it because that sets the temperature. So, and that's going to affect the pressure. Because I probably could edit the save to either bump up the amount of CO2 we have to something, that's going to last us quite a while, because, or we just don't deal with plants for now and kind of, I don't know. I mean, it, how long are we fighting with AC, greenhouse, plant issues? I don't know. I like to, obviously, but it just seems like there's a lot of things that, the plants are really sensitive, basically. I guess, which is expected because we're trying to grow them on the moon. But I don't want to just, I don't want to turn the stream into let's, you know, play in the greenhouse constantly. But we'll get the circuit done, get it up and running. Like I said, maybe the way around it is just edit the tank. I think they fix that because now when you dump into it, you're talking about the smeltery. Because now when you dump, like, say, iron into it and it outgasses, it will put out the furnace. So that was basically their way to fix that exploit. Um, yeah, though there was a bug where if you turned it on, the thing would just run. And I don't know if they fixed that or not. But I don't know if it was just staying kind of static or if it was actually generating because the pressure wasn't increasing. So I'm assuming it just wasn't losing heat, basically. Um, I don't know if that's fixed or not, but I don't think that's going to give us any more gases out of it. So probably what I'll do is just edit the save and just make a backup. Well, I do the rolling saves anyway, but I'll do another save um, and edit the save to, I'll just set this up to, like, either 20 MPa or something like that. And that should last us quite a while. We can keep an eye on it and see how fast it goes through. I mean, if it's insanely fast, then there's not going to be a point. I'm not going to. Yeah, they did it recently. It was last week. Uh, if you go back about 5 or 6 episodes, I was having trouble with the furnace, and that's when they changed it because you used to be able to throw the stuff in there. I used to just load it up, pressurize it, and just throw everything in there and then light it, and then I could just pull the lever, and I would get out a ton of steel. Well, now you have to throw all the stuff in there, vent it, because you can't light it when all the off gas is in there, and then pressurize it, and then you can light it, and it will burn. And if you pull the stuff back out and you put it back in, it will off gas again. So there is still kind of like, I don't know, a little bit of a cheat there. But you can't just keep, well, I guess you could loop it through, but then you'd have to loop it, vent it, loop it, vent it. But you're only going to get what it off gases, which isn't that much and not what you get from burning it. Yeah, so, all right. Well, this was kind of, which we do have the gas generator running, so we'll see how much that gives us. Obviously, I don't want to burn through all of our nitrogen and our hydrogen and oxygen to run it. Um, so I'll probably tomorrow keep an eye on it to see how much it actually does generate, um, versus how much hydrogen and oxygen we're using to run it. Because I mean, at least oxides and volatiles, we can replace both of those relatively easy by mining runs. So, if maybe we just set the, depending on what its usage is at, which that seems kind of low, but I haven't been gathering a lot of volatiles. Um, so we'll see. Anyway, that might give us a way to generate some CO2. But I guess we're gonna have to call it good for this episode. We're about an hour and 10 minutes right now. Unfortunately, I kind of wanted to get some more circuitry done, but hey, everything died. I guess I don't have a green thumb. But all right. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and I'll probably be doing 1 or 2 streams tomorrow, um, and we'll hopefully I'll do some checking beforehand, maybe like while I eat dinner, since I usually stream after I eat dinner. Then I can sit there and maybe I'll just set the gas generator to run. I'll just tell it to keep it at 100%, or I can just cut the line to the solar panels and just let the thing run, and see what we get off of it. See if it's going to be feasible or not. If not, in either way, because we have no surplus of CO2, I will probably edit the tank for now to get something back in there. Um, but all right. Anyway, before I start rambling for 15 minutes about as I want to do at the end of the episodes, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you tomorrow, and hopefully it goes a little bit smoother. Who knows? They usually have a couple of bug fixes out, before I get home. So basically overnight. This time, this is basically their working hours now because of the time difference. So maybe they'll have something addressed. All right. This is Mickey D. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I will see you in the next one.